Hiya Ken, lovely to meet up with you and do some work on your game up at the studio. As promised, just a quick recap on the key points that we covered during your session. First thing we did was really look at the setup and try and get you standing in a more appropriate manner to the golf ball to work within the stack and tilt pattern. One of the things that we sort of highlighted was that, like a lot of DIYers, if you will, there was a tendency to want to side bend towards the target a little bit to address. And really what we should be trying to create is a situation where the upper centre and the lower centre are over the top of one another or side bending away from the target a little bit. So we don't want the upper centre, the centre of the shoulder turn, to be out in front of the lower centre. That has a knock-on effect and causes problems later in the swing. So rather than a side bend towards the target, we want to create a side bend slightly 2 degrees or so away from the target, and we did this by pushing the hips forward. So within the 10-word template, when we talk about weight forward, we tweak that a little bit to suit you, which will be hips forward. So on this one, on the top at the start, we've got the hips back a little bit and the upper body forward, whereas now on this one we've kept the upper body in the centre of the stance and we just push the hips towards the target, maybe an inch or so, moving the weight forward via the hips. The next change we talked about was to position the feet so that both feet were turned out a minimum of 20 degrees. For yourself here, I prescribe more like 30. It's a great way of providing stability to the swing, allows you to create the turn in a much more appropriate manner on the way back, and also can allow you to control the rate at which you flex and rotate through the ball during impact and beyond. So that's the feet out. We've got the hips forward, we've got the feet out. The next change we made was to get the chin down and get the eyes looking more at the ball as opposed to out in front, the old-fashioned scenario of looking down your nose at the golf ball. When the chin's up, it makes it more difficult to work the shoulders down and turn them in a tilted angle. So by repositioning the eyes downwards, you're making that lead shoulder down move. So in your case, shoulder down, right shoulder down, much more easier to achieve. So it's not that you weren't doing it, it was just that you were making things a little bit too difficult for yourself at setup. So at setup, we've got the hips forward, we've got the feet turned out, and we've got the eyes down. Now the way we created that, the feel for your eyes down was to imagine you're holding a sort of putter head cover under your chin, and then once it's held under the chin securely, just lift the chin up until the cover drops out and your neck was in a good position. So you've changed your posture, it's looking a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more relaxed. Then we started to look at the swing in a little bit more detail for you, and the big thing that we wanted to try and improve with your swing initially was tightening the radius of the swing. We've got the ball going on a pretty good line, but there's not much compression, and we tend to get every now and again just a little bit of a hit behind the golf ball. Now when we look at the swing, we were talking about the position of the lead arm in relation to the trail leg and the position of the butt of the golf club in relation to the golf ball. And within the model, what we would want is we would want the gloved hand, the butt of the club, to be in line with the trail leg when the shaft is parallel with the ground. So to allow you to try and achieve this, we gave you a number of drills. The best drill that we did, and I'll forward the images of you doing this, is to try and feel like in your rehearsals the butt of the club is in line with the belt buckle by the time the shaft is parallel to the ground in the downswing. So we've been working on that a little bit during the session. We started to drift off the ball just ever so slightly there whilst working on the other things, which we started to tidy up. And what we're trying to get is a tightening of the radius during the downswing. So we're trying to get this arm more advanced, which this was midway through your session, and it is starting to get a little bit more advanced, and we're trying to, as a result, get the butt of the club more in line with the golf ball as we're coming into impact. And again, whilst we are doing that on that particular swing, it's not happening quite as well as we would have liked. So we're trying to speed up the lead arm, the butt of the club, whilst maintaining the angles in the wrist, and as a result, that's going to tighten the radius of the swing. The other thing we worked on was handle location. We can see here on the top right, we're doing the drill where we've pushed the weight further forward, the handle further forward, trying to feel like we're going to maintain that so that we become familiar with the location of the handle through the hip. Once we're familiar with something and we've done enough repetitions on it, the body starts to go looking for that position at speed when we're hitting full out golf shots. So if we look at the original swing, very much handle back, and then as we swing through, quite a lot of flexing of the elbows and flexing of the upper body. Further on in your session, we've tightened the radius up a little bit. We've started to move the handle location forward a little bit. I'm starting to see a little bit more of a straightening of the arms on the way through. Arms nowhere near as bent, particularly the sort of trail arm there, the left arm, that's not flexing anywhere near as much. And there is still quite a lot of flexing in the body, but not as much in the knees. If you look at your knee here, is much more flexed than your knee here. And what we need to do now is learn how to extend. So in other words, learn how to raise the level of the belt, handle forward, keep the handle forward during the hit, and then feel like you're going to raise the belt as you come through. And you can see when you do that, there's much less flex in the trail leg. There's much less forward flex in the upper body. And the arms are much straighter during your hit. So these are all drills and exercises that you can do to introduce the correct pieces into your swing. And just towards the end of your session, you wanted to look at your driver, and the thing that we talked about was that for you to become more consistent with your driver, you need to keep your golf club, your club face, squarer to the arc of the swing in the early part of the swing. So from setup to waist level, instead of creating what is traditionally classed as a square position, what we're actually doing there is opening the face substantially to the arc of the swing. And the question I posed you there was, if that club face is square, what is it square to? Because square to the arc of your swing would look like this. And that was one of the key points that you wanted me to mention in this recap, just to remind you that, you know, there is very, very little need to rotate the club face very early in the swing. All you're doing when you do that is adding chaos to a movement that, you know, is chaotic at the best of times in golf, isn't it? You know, so we don't want to add to the party with that. So we don't need to work or rotate the club face in the early part of the swing. So there are your key points from your lessons. I will forward you some images that were created on the day, along with some other items that I feel are appropriate to you over the next 24 hours. I hope you enjoyed your session. It was certainly, from my point of view, it was really good fun. Great to meet someone who's as keen and as eager to work as yourself. Hope you're getting the benefits of it, and I look forward to your next visit, and we can crack on with making some more improvements and seeing how these changes progressed over the months or so between the sessions. Good luck with it. Great work. And if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch via email or phone. Well done.